What is up? Live chat. Rick here. ZOZO Championship happening across the globe for most of us. Maybe you're tuning in from Japan. I don't know. There is a little bit of an international audience, I would imagine. So if you're tuning in from Japan, hello, let us know. This event, do not be fooled. Lineups lock in less than 5 hours. If you are watching this live right now, your lineups will lock in 4 hours and 48 minutes. But Rick, I always spend my Wednesday nights making my lineups, sipping my green tea. It's not going to work this time. You're going to have to put them in a little bit earlier. Okay, you got to put them in like right now. Make sure your bets are in. Make sure everything is accounted for. This next hour is your time, whatever you want. I've got access to everything at RickRunGood.com. Obviously, I run the website. Why wouldn't I have access to it? The ownership projections, every golfer profile, the power rankings, head-to-head match, whatever you want to talk about. This time is yours. So go ahead, drop your questions, comments in the chat right now, and we'll see where we go. Jared kicks us off. Hello, Jared. To get different in big GPPs, do you prefer ownership or differing lineup constructions? For example, leaving money on the table, balance versus stars and scrubs. Curious if people have caught on to leaving money on the table in golf DFS. I can assure you they have not. Still, the last time I checked, which was a couple of weeks ago, the vast majority of users are spending $50,000, $49,900, or $49,800. If you leave anything more than that, you have at least created yourself very likely a unique lineup. Now, that is by definition different. Right, Jared, you asked how to get different. Being unique is a perfect way of being different. Leveraging the field, reaping the rewards of specific golfers for when they play well or when they don't play well is much more of an ownership game, right? You know, there is a benefit to leaving $1,000 on the table, but if you have 6 guys who are all 20% owned, where's your leverage, right? So I think it is a little bit of both, but to be unique, all you have to do is leave money on the table. And I do what you argued here, or what you listed here, balance versus stars and scrubs. So at least building differently, even if you spend all $50,000, building in a manner in which others are not is likely to also get you lower owned guys and also likely to get you a unique build. So that was a lot of words to probably not say all that much, but you've got to probably have a combination of both here. Hank Hill says, is there a way to use the Holy Grail to look at strokes gained for harder courses? Okay, so currently no, shortly yes. I've got a list of probably 100 things, and some of them are off-season projects, archiving all the optimal lineups. That's an off-season project because that's going to take me like 10 straight hours, and I don't have 10 straight hours most weeks. So that's an off-season project. This one is a soon thing, a very soon thing, because I've got all the data. I just have to build it in. What you could do in the meantime, you could, in theory, come in here and go through, like, you know, the courses that you know are a little bit harder, right? Arnold Palmer Invitational. You could go down to the Memorial if you hold control, or I think it's command on a Mac. You know, the Players Championship last year played pretty difficult. You know, you can select as many of these as you want. Honda Classic, Riviera, we'd probably throw in there as well. Go back a couple of years, sort by strokes gained total. Terrell Hatton. Boom. Terrell Hatton's going to win this, right? So Colin Morikawa up there as well. You can go through and do this. I will add a button for either a scale of like scoring average or just do a filter for easy, medium, hard, something like that. I will have that on a tool coming to you very, very soon. Dave says, Rick, you have 6 likes 35 minutes before the start. That's impressive. Thanks. Let's get some more. That would be nice as well. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Do all that fun stuff that content creators always ask you for, because it really, really helps. Hey, Rick. Yo, Rick. Can we dip our toes in or get a shallow dive on some of these Japanese golfers? Sure. The ones, so a couple ways to do this. Let's sort by global on the cheat sheet. If you go by strokes gained total and raw, you'll end up finding some of these guys. Kaito Onishi, I don't know much about him. He missed the cut in his last start, but also finished second in his start before that. The one that I'm most interested in, I think he's like $6,500, is, here we go, Kazuki Higa. He won the 38th Shinhan Donghai Open. That was an event just a couple of weeks ago. It was after the Tour Championship that Siwoo Kim played in. There were 4 top 100 players in the world, including Kazuki Higa, and he ends up winning it. So I'll actually pull up his profile page here for a second. So he wins that. Don't know how he did it. We don't get the strokes gain breakdown, but he gained 11 and a half strokes to the field. Qualified for the Open Championship, missed the cut there. Missed the cut at the Irish Open, finished T10 at the BMW International Open. That was basically his summer, right? Those 4 events. He obviously played some more just straight Japanese tour events, but this is someone who I'm most interested in out of the Japanese golfers. You saw that I had Kita Nakajima up there. Very talented. I think he's still an amateur, and he might still be the number 1 amateur in the world, but he is, if not number 1, just a very highly touted young player. He has not played as well recently. If you dive into some of his OWGR stuff, he's got a T26 at a Japanese event, a T48, 2 missed cuts in a row, a T11, a T32, T7. These are Japanese events. One of them was an Asian Tour event. Missed the cut at the Masters. So he has not played a whole lot of OWGR ranked events this year, like 7 of them, and it hasn't been as good as his 2021 is. So a lot of raw talent, but I wish he was playing a little bit better. Currently ranked 354th in the world. Seems like the 6 of 6 percentage was higher last week. Was this actually true? And if so, for any reason? I would have to go back and look. You can go to cutsweats.com. They don't pay me to say that. It is just generally a very good website to track like the 6 of 6 rate and stuff like that. I don't know what it was for last week, but it's fairly highly dependent on if the popular golfers got through the cut, right? You know, if you have a week where the 3 most popular golfers all miss the cut, your 6 of 6 rate is going to be pretty low. If you have a situation where some weeks, like the top 8 most popular guys all get through the cut, like that's going to be a pretty chalky week, even though still getting 6 of 6 is pretty difficult. Hi, Rick. Hello, Slizzard. Since this is a no-cut event, should we prioritize a Stars and Scrubs build to lock in more win equity and hope to get some birdies from the cheaper guys? I think that's generally a good strategy. You know, for a long time, history has shown that these events, whether they are WGCs, whether they are playoff events, whether they are CJ Cup or ZOZO, kind of like these, you know, small field, no-cut type things, they are generally won by the best guys in the field. They're very, very top heavy. The WGCs outside of the match play were very, very top heavy in terms of winners. Playoff events have been as well. The caveat that I think for this week is this is not as strong of a field as we have seen at some of these events in the past. This is weaker than the field the ZOZO had last year. It is much weaker than the field that the CJ Cup had last year because that was a back-to-back 2 weeks in Las Vegas. I think we'll get a pretty good field next week, but generally speaking, in terms of WGCs and stuff like that, this is pretty weak. So yes, I do like the idea of grabbing 2 guys at the top because it's fairly top heavy, and then just allowing, like, is there a huge difference between Andrew Putnam and Davis Riley? Maybe not. Is there a huge difference between, let me find a good example here, like an Alex Smalley and an Emiliano Grillo or a Mark Hubbard? Probably not, right? So I think I'm willing to go a lot further down the board, lock up 2 of the guys at the top. That, especially because the argument would be it's an overall weaker field, but you still have like 8 or 10 really good guys at the top that are most likely to win this thing. If you can get 2 of those and then let everybody else who is basically the same golfer kind of battle this out, I think is the path to it. Oh, there was a question here from Dave. Could you do a little deeper dive into Kita Nakajima? Hopefully I've done that. 9K range and above, a guy that you don't mind full fading, and why? I think the obvious answer is Corey Connors. Now, I am of 2 minds on Corey Connors. I've certainly warmed on him as the week goes on. I think if you're going to play him, you should be playing him in game theory areas, right? Where, you know, he's 11% projected ownership, which is half that of Tom Kim, nearly a third of Sungjae Im. Is Sungjae 3 times as likely to outperform Corey Connors? It feels like it, but the answer is probably not. The last 3 events from Corey Connors have just not been good. They've been very, very bad. Last, 40 events for Corey Connors, much better. And this is a golf course that should be a fairly decent fit for him. So I will probably not have as much Corey Connors as everybody else. I think the interesting other kind of like fade of the 9K range is maybe Cam Young. I love this guy. And again, buy me all the Cam Young long term. But when you start actually breaking down, what has he done in the very, very short term? Didn't play well at the Tour Championship. He had an okay finish at the FedEx St. Jude. He's super valuable in President's Cup formats. You go back a little bit further, he does have weeks in which he can lose 4 strokes ball striking. He can lose 4 around the green. He can lose 5 with the putter. Like, it is not crazy. He is one of the more volatile guys up here in this range, and sporting a 21% ownership with Tommy Fleetwood, Terrell Hatton, Victor Hovland coming in basically half of that. I would not be super thrilled to I'd be okay with fading him. Garrett says, Wednesday night PGA action. Are you and Mina going to curl up on the couch, pop some corn, and watch as Sung Jae takes over the tournament? Probably. Although she'll probably head to bed, and then Oliver, it just goes with her. Like, no matter what, it doesn't matter. I'm the roommate in this household. I'm the third wheel. Nobody cares about me here. The dog goes where she goes. By the way, I don't really like popcorn. Armina does. She eats it like a total weirdo. So have you ever seen this before? She takes the bowl, and instead of reaching her hand in and putting it in her mouth like a normal human, she puts her head in and like slurps it out. It's terrifying. I do not recommend it. I've never seen anybody else do that. Jay says, Rick, you're the man as always. Thank you. Stars and scrubs are more of a balanced build. Can we do a deep dive on Wyndham Clark? I've been rostering him each week during the fall swing. Should I hop off? Okay, let's look at Wyndham. I think in general, I prefer probably a little bit more stars and scrubsy. Also getting access to some of the Japanese guys. Like, all the Japanese guys outside of Hideki Matsuyama are going to be super low owned, right? And there will be a Japanese player who finishes like T12 this week, and he's going to be $6,500 or something like that. I hope it is. I already forgot his name. I hope it is Kazuki Higa, but it could be somebody else. But I think that's the play. Very familiar with the golf course. These guys, they take so much pride in playing in their home country. It happens almost all the time when we go to some of these places. All right, deep dive on Wyndham Clark. Here we go. It's a little worrisome, right? So when Wyndham Clark's at his best, this is what you see. Deep green off the tee. We have not seen that. Lost strokes at the Fortinet, lost strokes at the Sanderson Farms, lost a lot of strokes in Las Vegas. That's a problem, right? That was the weapon. When you lose the weapon, I start to get a little bit concerned. And then you add in the fact that he's not very good on approach on a regular basis. When he plays well, it's a little bit reliant on the putter. This is a worrisome stat profile. When your best attribute goes away, that is scary. And he does not necessarily have the rest of his game in good enough shape to fix that. So he needs to turn the driver around. And if he doesn't turn the driver around, he is in quite big trouble. I'm seeing Stallings and Hubbard as pop players this week. Can we get a deep dive on either one? Sure. Stallings has been fairly good as of late. So here's Scott Stallings. Miscut at the FedEx St. Jude, was horrible at the Tour Championship. Everything else, pretty damn good, right? Got back on the horse at the Sanderson Farms, finished T13, gained basically across the board, which is what he was doing with the T13 at the Wyndham, the T10 at the Rocket Mortgage, the T4 at John Deere, the T8 at Travelers. These are all basically him gaining across the board. It's a well-rounded game. So that is kind of exciting to see him basically back to doing that at the Sanderson Farms. Absolutely no problem if you want to roll out Scott Stallings. Hubbard's always a little bit harder for me to get right. I seem to always miss him. And I love the approach play, right? He's gained basically every single week dating back to the RBC Canadian. He had one small loss in there. In Memphis, he's a very strong putter. I have just seemed to get him wrong more often, and he's a more volatile version of outcomes, or a larger range of outcomes than Scott Stallings has. So this worries me a little bit more. Scott Stallings seems to be a hair more solid. Rick, I just took the money. Oh, sorry. I just took the money I was going to invest on outrights for two of these three, Mito, Munoz, Kitayama, and put it instead on X and Fitzpatrick win and top 5 parlays. Crazy or crazy like a fox. So Fitzpatrick is playing in Spain, for those of you who are not aware. So honestly, that's probably better, right? I mean, were Mito, Munoz, and Kitty, their combined win equity is probably 10%, probably less actually. And you would have been paid at most, what's Kitayama, 50, 60 to 1, something like that. Where I don't know what number you got on both of those guys winning, but if Xander's win equity is like 10%, and Fitzpatrick's might be higher than that, honestly, might be like 12%. You're probably getting your EV. I'd have to do the numbers, but like that's not bad. Might be crazy like a fox. Who is the best Tom Kim pivot since he's going to be 90% owned? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 90%. Probably around 24%, actually. So Mike Cavalunas has been doing the ownership projections. He's been absolutely killing them. He just texted me right now and said he just updated them again. Because he updates them like multiple times a day. This guy's so sharp. I'm reflecting the ones from this morning. So after I get off air here, I'll rerun these updates and all that fun stuff. But that's, neither here nor there. These are still strong. So I have Tom Kim at 24.7% ownership. So obviously the most natural pivot is Victor. So let's do a deep dive in Victor's world here. T34 at the Italian Open, T5 at the BMW PGA Championship. That's all he's played since the Tour Championship. So we've only seen him basically twice in the last coming up on 2 months. On paper, I think this is a good golf course for him as long as he can stay out of the bunkers, right? This is a golf course that should reward long and straight. It should reward ball striking, which he's one of the best at. He's a very good putter. And the thick rough around the greens is generally better for players who struggle around the greens. Although I'll tell you what, he gained strokes around the green at the Italian Open. He gained strokes around the green at the BMW Championship. And his last 5 starts, he's like a total net positive around the greens. There's a lot of bunkers around these greens, which is a little bit worrisome. So if you can avoid the bunkers, I think this is a pretty good path. That's the most obvious pivot. PrizePicks weren't up for you. That's right. PrizePicks was not up for me earlier in the week when I did my video. Can you give us some plays or strategy now that some are up? Sure. I want to see what they have for. They don't have greens. I wanted greens in regulation. So they have birdie or better matchup and strokes. So, okay. So if you guys have been following along, and maybe you haven't been following along, and now that we're getting deeper fields, we're starting to see this again. What PrizePicks does is they do these birdie or better matchups by round, and they are almost always very imbalanced, right? Xander Schauffele versus Mav McNeely, Hideki versus Sahith, Colin Morikawa versus Cam Davis, Sung Jae Im versus Scott Stallings. So when they first started doing these imbalances, I kind of thought it was a trap. And Andy Mentel was tracking these all season long last season. And we learned it's not really a trap. If you blindly take the marquee player, the guy whose picture it is, right? So you would take Xander over, Hideki over, or more because all the lines are set at 0. These were winning at a fairly ridiculous clip last year, right? So just kind of blindly taking these, like Sung Jae Im over Scott Stallings, like these guys are on 2 different planets, right? Tyrrell Hatton over Steven Yeager, like that we've learned was not necessarily a trap. So I would probably start there. Strokes is kind of interesting, right? So 68.5 for most guys. Okay, let's start with Siwoo less than 69.5. Just jumps off the screen. Straka, Hoagie as well. These are guys that are playing awesome. I'm just trying to see what else is out there. Those to me are the ones that really stand out. Siwoo might win this thing. I've bet Siwoo. Tom Hoagie's been fantastic. Sepp Straka has been fantastic. I'll roll with those guys. If you want to get involved, there's a promo code. It's Rick. There's a link in the description. I'm sure it'll match your deposit bonus. Go and play. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's a lot of opportunity in other sports as well. And then usually what I noticed is round 2 seems to be the most gettable because we'll have one round of data. PrizePicks won't adjust fast enough, and you should get a lot of opportunity in round 2 as well. Philly Finger says, "Hey Rick, thanks for talking me through Putnam last week. It went well. Can we talk through David Lipsky? We're going to try to do this again. I may be overweight. Thanks so much. All right, let's see what David Lipsky did and what David Lipsky is up to here. It's not great. Got to be honest with you. So he is a consistent loser with the putter, and we're talking a lot. -4, -4, -3.5. Another start before that, -1.5, -1.9, -5.5. That's a lot of losing with the putter. Is he making it up in other areas? Yes, but the most likely place that he's making it up is around the green, which is always a little bit worrisome. He is a positive ball striker, although nothing that jumps off the page, jumps off the screen, right? So this to me is, if 5 out of 10 is neutral, I'm like a 5.5, right? I see the idea of getting an above average ball striker and a guy that normally doesn't putt well and hope that the putting comes around. There's not a super ton of evidence of that. So this worries me a hair. Not super excited. There's probably better options out there. Hey, Rick, thanks for all the great content. Are you watching House of the Dragon? What do you think so far? Also, go Tom Kim. We are not. I actually just brought that up to Armina, and I was like, should we be watching this? Right? Should we? We've been doing we did the Game of Thrones thing. Should we be watching this? I think I'm more interested than she is. The other thing is we have so many other things that we need to finish. We've got like a couple episodes of Money Heist left. I was rewatching Breaking Bad. We've got like, I don't even know what else we have. I think there's a new season of Handmaid's Tale out. What else? Maybe Armina will let me know. We've got like 9 things on the list that we have not gotten to this yet. And I feel like I'd also rather wait until there's a season or 2 or 3 and then just like binge the whole thing. Right? So we'll see. Tom Hoagie prevented a $20,000 win this past weekend. Least favorite golfer ever. Deep dive on Lucas Herbert. Lucas Herbert has actually been pretty good. I told the story on the first cut. I don't know if you guys heard this. If you guys also listened to the first cut, you've heard this story now 3 times. So I apologize. However, I was directly impacting Lucas Herbert's first round last week in Las Vegas. So here's what happened. I was walking down the first fairway. The first hole and the 9th hole run adjacent to one another. So I'm walking down the first fairway on the cart path. I see a ball out of the corner of my eye coming down towards us on 9 rough, the right rough of 9. There's no one else there. The marshal does not see it, like cannot find it. And I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to have to like make sure he finds this. So I kind of linger a little bit to make sure he finds this golf ball. So I have to point it out to him, point it out to Lucas Herbert. Hey, it's here. It's in the really thick stuff. It's a horrible lie. It's a horrible lie. It's a par 5. This is a par 5 you got to get. It's a horrible lie. He's in the trees. It's terrible. Lucas Herbert looks at me and says, did it bounce? Now, friends, that's a loaded question, is it not? Because what he's really getting at is there a chance this ball is plugged? Because if that ball is plugged, he gets to drop it. And if he gets a drop, he is absolutely going to get a better lie than he had. So I'm now in a pickle. Little dilemma here. I wield unbelievable power in this situation. I could say, I'm the only person. I'm the witness. I'm the prime witness here. I'm the guy. I could say, yeah, Lucas, it plugged. It didn't bounce. Take your free relief. Or I could say, well, no, it did bounce, telling him that he is not entitled to free relief. I want you all to know, I take my role in this very seriously. I upheld the dignity, the integrity of the game. I said, sorry, Lucas, it did bounce. He said, that's all right, mate. Took a wedge, flopped it out. I think I don't know if he still made birdie or not, but he played well after that. So anyway, here's the deep dive. T20 at Shriners, T5 at the Italian Open. Probably the best putter on planet Earth. And sometimes he gets the approach play going. So he's actually kind of the opposite of what we normally look for, which is someone who's very solid in the ball striking and can pop with the putter. Similar concept, just kind of the opposite. I don't mind this at all. Lucas Herbert, playing well. Splitting hairs, but how much ownership variance is significant? How much ownership variance is significant in each salary tier? Seems there's less variance in the 10K range and the 6 to 7K. Are you talking about in terms of projections or what it actually ends up being? I would imagine there is less variance in the 10K range based on what you're saying, Gavin, just because there's only so many guys. Right? There's only so many guys. It's pretty clear about how most people in the industry feel about every single one of them. It's the 6s and the 7s where guys, might get talked about on one spot and not get talked about in another, or it doesn't take as many people playing them as it does to get their ownership to 5%, which is, triple somebody else. I don't know if I'm understanding your correct. I don't know if I'm understanding your question correctly, but hopefully that is an answer. There's a question here that says, I don't know if I want to answer this on the record. You could tweet me and I'll answer that. Let's just say it's location based and, DM me. Ball strikers course, Keegan's been very good, right? So Keegan has been, good coming in and has played well here, right? I think he has a T. Let's look it up. I won't guess. It's like a T7 and a T14 or something like that. T7 and a T13. Yeah, in the 2 years in Japan. So remember that 2020 version, or the year it took place in 2020, it was a 2021 season event, I believe. That was at Sherwood Country Club. So throw that out the window. So you've got Keegan, who's got really good course history, is coming off of a T5, has all-time pop ability. I think Keegan's probably one of the better, showdown options, first round leader options, single round matchup options, because I think it's a lot harder for him to put 4 rounds together, but I don't mind Keegan at all. Good afternoon, Sir Gehman. Who is producer touting this week? That would be Armina, and she said she is going with Tom, which gives her obviously Tom Kim. Does it give her others? Wow. Hoagie, Fleetwood. It gives her Tomohari Atsuki. So she gets 4 Toms out of this. Very strategic selection from Armina. Hey, Rick, looks like rain all day. Does look like just rain, not thunderstorms. Do you think they get some golf in today? Last I looked, I thought they would, right? I mean, there is, from what I understand, they've got great drainage there. This is a very wet time of year in Japan, in Tokyo specifically. And I believe the way this golf course and a lot of the private golf courses are set up, they drain very, very well. I suspect they will get some play in, but as we always know, there is a very good opportunity to get ball in hand. We do a deep dive on Yuto Katsuragawa. Here's what I have on him. T27 at the Shinhan Donghai Open. He did make the cut at the Open Championship and gained 7 strokes ball striking. Finished second at the Asia Pacific Open Golf Championship Diamonds Cup, and also finished 32nd in the Asian Tours International Series in Thailand earlier this year. I'll tell you what, maybe he's my new favorite guy. Yuto Katsuragawa. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good record. Thanks, Daniel, for bringing him up. Can you show projected ownerships? See, Spoon Man knows what he's coming for, right? He wants the paid stuff. Smart. Xander and Hideki 26 and 27, Colin 18, Sung Jae 30, Tom Kim 24, Victor 13, Cam Young 21. I could go on and on. Mito Pereira 24%, that jumps out. Kurt Kitayama 13%, that jumps out. Hayden Buckley 11%, that jumps out. Those are your big boys. Have at it. Thoughts on Jaeger here? Yes, Jaeger I like Jaeger. I need him to do. I need 4 rounds out of Jaeger, right? I swear I can get 3 rounds out of him. I can get 2 rounds out of him, 3 rounds out of him. He usually has 1 bad round a week, which has kind of limited his upside a little bit. But he's made 6 consecutive cuts. He had a 5th place finish at the Rocket Mortgage, a T13 at the Wyndham. It's a little bit reliant on the short game, but it's consistent. He gets it done. I need 3 or 4 rounds out of him. That's going to be the problem. So I've kind of deployed Jaeger in more situations like showdown or round by round matchups or things of that nature. But I understand the Jaeger stuff. Jaeger bomb. We don't have too many opportunities to discuss a live jock market. Interesting. That is very true. I don't know if I can bring up the board right now, Brent, but what I would be doing is looking at golfers that did not find their fair value, right? Go buy up some of those guys. Some of the guys that I think some of these Japanese guys, right? Further down the board. I also think, I don't remember what the IPO closed at price on some of these guys last night, but like Hayden Buckley, I'd be a buyer on. Right? I'd be a buyer on Hayden Buckley. I'd be a buyer on even like a KH Lee or a Sepp Straka or a Lucas Herbert, like we've been talking about. Go buy them. I'd be shorting, there was a pretty, I think there was a pretty outrageous price on like Tom Kim. I'd be buying Colin Morikawa at the moment. I know he was like the 6th most expensive golfer on the slate last night. If you want to play Jock Market, it's Stock Market DFS. It's live right now. You can short golfers. So if you think Xander's not going to play well or not going to finish to his expectation, go short him right now. Code is Rick. Link is in the description. It's very, very fun. Rick, I know I bother you all the time about this, but I did it. Rick, I know I bother you about it all of the time, but I did it. I used your website to run a model utilizing course key stats, but targeting average optimal ownership, 150. Fingers crossed now. Get it, Steven. Get it, son. What do we have here? This is an interesting question. Zach Jeffers. Hello, Zach. Is referring to Russell Knox, who, has kind of been all over the place, right? So 24th, 25th, and a missed cut on the number. It's true. Is Russell Knox a low-key ball striker? Let's say yes, right? I mean, that is the model of Russell Knox, right? To be a great approach player. I would not call him a great ball striker because he hemorrhages strokes off the tee, which worries me. It worries me quite a bit, honestly. The rest of his game is strong. So from fairway through green, he's been great, right? So if we had a stat that was similar from TTG to be like FTG, fairway through green, Russell Knox would probably be pretty high. Right? He gains a ton of strokes on approach. His around the green game has been tidy. He's been a positive putter as of late, but he's losing 1.5 to 3 strokes off the tee every single week. With this golf course, you will get some worse angles. You might get some overhangs from some of these trees. I need him to play out of the fairway or close to it. If you think he can do that, then yes, he is flying under the radar, low-key ball striker. Proximity 225 to 250 looks scary, correlated to past performances. Yeah, that is probably 225 to 250. I don't see that. I see 275. Approaches from 270. Where do you see 225 to 250? I don't see that. But what I will say, and I said this earlier this week as well, this course key stats model, one of my favorite things on the website, one of the strongest things on the website, is not a slam dunk this week. There are only 2 years worth of data when normally there is 12 years worth of data. Also, that proximity, just a weird comment and not actionable, but Titleist and pin golfers have been winning a ton lately. There you go. Trying to find 2 to 3 players between 79 and 7,500, sitting with Grillo, Herbert, Hughes. That's not bad. I'll tell you what, we haven't talked about Max Hughes yet. I know it is usually hard to go back to somebody after they win, especially when they are not a prolific winner. However, he's had the week off. He was building towards that victory, and he's going to a golf course that he finished T4 at last year. So if you're going to do it, I think this is one of the kind of decent spots to do it. What's his projected ownership at? Mac Hughes. I've got him at 10%. Not bad. Bet you it's lower than that. I don't know. Can we do a deep dive on Bo? Friend of the pod. Friend of the pod, Bo Hostler. Sure. Let's take a gander at old Bo. Yeah. Yeah. Bo's on brand, right? Bo knows brands. Bo's brand is very good putter, like one of the best on tour. Decent around the green. The problem is the ball striking, which he's sneaky long. He's a lot longer than you think he is, but sprays it off the tee. Has not been, I mean, he's lost strokes on approach in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of 15. Not particularly great. So, love Bo. Maybe you bet him on a top 40. Maybe you bet him on a top 20. Actually, sorry. I was thinking of a full field. Maybe you bet him on a top 20 in a 78 player field. But I'm sure he will tell you this is not the stat profile that he'd be looking for. This just says, well done, Rick. Thank you. Hey, Rick. Some reports that Hideki withdrew from the Pro-Am. Apparently precautionary, but how scarred does this make you? Scared. So I saw that as well. I got tagged in it a bunch when Hideki withdrew. So I'm not going to do anything. There's generally a lot of noise on Wednesdays. There are a lot of guys, for good or bad, that withdraw from Pro-Ams on Wednesdays. They are not all malicious. They are not all injury related. And they are all not ones that you hear about, right? You are only hearing about this WD because it's Hideki Matsuyama in Japan. If Bo Hostler, no offense, Bo, withdrew from the Pro-Am, you would not have heard about it. And it might not mean anything, right? So remember that when you're consuming this information. Yes, Hideki has battled injury over the course of this last summer. Played, I think, every single session at the President's Cup. Really only had that one WD, and it was, I mean, it could have also been bad play related instead of also injury related. So, and I also believe that he will do anything to play this golf tournament, right? So I am not going to do anything with this information. If I was playing Hideki, if I was betting Hideki, I'm going to stay there. If I wasn't, I am going to stay there, right? I'm just not taking action on it. Between Herbert and Putnam, I actually prefer Herbert here. Any good first round leader options? Yeah, I mean, listen, Keegan, I'll try to tweet out the numbers. Keegan is the first round leader as often as John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy. It's just insane how often he does it. I would also look at some of the very volatile guys. And if you want guys, I think you also have to look a little bit closer to the top of the board. Tommy Fleetwood, Terrell Hatton. Terrell Hatton's a very volatile golfer. He's coming in off of 2 top 10s. He destroys par 3s. You go out there, you go out there, he shoots something low in round 1. Would you be at all surprised? Absolutely not. Ooh, I like FTG. Did I just make this stat up? Did I just coin this? FTG helps better isolate wedge and iron play, especially at courses where it's common to club down off the tee isn't all that important. Boom. Maybe I'll add it to the website. The only place you can get FTG, RickRunGood.com. High dollar single entry GPP. Who's the first guy you lock in? Could be Terrell Hatton. Tell you what, could be Terrell Hatton. Could be Siwoo. Real quick, I'll take you through both of them, okay? So the case for Terrell, he has 2 top 10s that most people probably didn't see. 8th and a T7, Italian Open, Alfred Dunhill, Links Championship, his last 2 starts. And he's been playing pretty good, right? His last 6 starts, he has 4 top 11s. When he goes well, it looks like what he does at the Italian Open here. Drove it well, gained 2 strokes on approach, tidy around the green, putted well. Boom. When Terrell goes well, that's what look at his T8 here. Gains across the board. Look at it here. Gains across the board. That's what he does. He is also a very good I'll just show this to you. So I send out an email newsletter every single week, which you should sign up for. There's a link in the description. It's called the Run Good Rundown, where I just find stats that come up through my research process. Where is old Terrell? Oh, you know what? He might have been 6th on the list. He is like a par 3 killer in terms of strokes gained. Okay. And he's going to get 5 cracks at it this week. I like Terrell. The other thing is Siwoo. What have we known about Siwoo Kim for the entirety of his career? That he is incredibly volatile, that he is an excellent ball striker, and that he probably cannot putt very well. And now he has changed to the broomstick. And it has resulted in a 5th place finish at an Asian Tour event, a top international point scorer at a President's Cup, and a T8 at the Shriners, in which he gained 2.5 strokes balls, 2.5 strokes putting. That is fairly good evidence that the broomstick is working for him. So you could get a legitimate high upside win equity golfer for $8,800 and 9% ownership. Giddy up. That's my coffee. It's getting cold. Got to sip it. How would you go about betting one hundo? What percent would you allocate and to what? If it was my last $100, I would probably do some top 20s and some matchups, quite frankly. If I was betting $100 a week and I didn't really care about it, I would be betting outrights on guys between like 30 and 60 on the board. And I would probably put 5 a week out for $20 each and go from there. So this week that might look like Hatton, Fleetwood, Munoz, Straka, something like that. But that's under the assumption that I'm going to get another $100 next week. What type of golf clubs do you play? I just got fitted. So I got fitted for a new driver, new irons. I was using the same clubs for about 6 years or so. The only irons that beat my previous Callaway XR Hots or whatever they were the Mizunos, 225 Pros. They are the hottest iron I've ever played. These things are freaking unbelievable. They fly. It is so hot. They feel so good. Mizuno makes such a quality golf club. Inside that is the LA Golf Shaft Pured, which also just like my mishits. If you've never seen pured shafts before, Google it. It's unbelievable. The idea of puring a golf shaft is like a cheat code. Then I was fit into the Ping G25, whatever the Ping driver is, which is so forgiving. I've never hit. I mean, this thing it's almost cheating how straight it goes. I believe it or not, I use the Kirkland wedges, the Kirkland signature wedges, which have been reshafted and regripped. They are the same as any Callaway Jaws, whatever, at a third of the price. They are the same thing. They're great. And then I use a Scotty, the 1.5, what is it? Half back, mid back, whatever they call that, between mallet and blade. And I roll that. For an event like this, do you prefer long-term or short-term form? I'm okay. Both kind of, right? But Neesmith, Hatton, Hoagie, Straka all playing well. I don't have any reason to think why they won't continue to play well. Longer term form for guys that we haven't seen as much, right? We've only seen Victor twice in 2 months. I think you can kind of revert him back to long-term form. I think Tommy Fleetwood has probably played less than most of his peers. I think you can kind of revert him back a little bit to some longer term form. I'm looking through the thing. Who else could that apply? I mean, Hideki, we saw at the President's Cup. I mean, Munoz, we saw like at the President's Cup, and then Sanderson. Did he play Sanderson? Right. So, I mean, like some of these guys that we haven't seen as much, I'd prefer to go back to recent form. But those guys that you mentioned that have been playing, rock and roll. Rick, hope all is well. Would it be possible to run an updated model? Yeah, that is possible. So, custom model, RickRunGood.com. Looks like this. Oh, good. It saved what I did earlier this week. So you can see I was fairly freaky earlier this week, right? I did 36 rounds, 25 on strokes gained par 3. I put some into the buckets. This was a very, very freaky stat profile or profile. What would I change about this? I would probably dial back par 3s and dial up approach play a little bit. I would also probably add a little bit to where is sand saves. There's a lot of bunkers out here. 10 on sand saves. I got to remove some from somewhere. I don't mind these 2 par 4 ones. That's kind of fun. Let's get rid of strokes gained putting on bent. That gives me 10 back. And I will do 10 on fantasy points gained. Driving distance, accuracy. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what this looks like. My number 1 golfer is Xander, then Scott Stallings, Sung J M, Tom Kim, Mito, Emiliano, Corey Connors, Colin Morikawa, Cam Young, Lee Hodges. Let's look at Lee Hodges. For a top 10 guy to be 6,700, he is worth a look. Lee Hodges has gained in ball striking 4 in a row, some with big gains. He's gained with the putter in 4 of 6. He's gained off the tee pretty prolifically. Missed the cut at the Shriners, but it's about as good of a missed cut as you could get, right? Loses 3/4 of a stroke and 3 in the negative came from the putter. That's kind of fine. This is not bad. Not a bad stat profile. I'll tell you what, better than some of the other guys, $6,800. Can we do a deep dive on Cam Young? Sure. Surely. Prolific driver of the golf ball, no doubt about it. Approach play in general, much more volatile, right? So just in his last 8 or so, he's got a -4 on approach, a +4.2, a -4, a +3.8. Much more volatile there. And the putter is the same way. So that's why I think you're going to see. Okay, so I say this all the time. A lot of people are like, oh, if I should bet one person every single week, who should it be? Can you guys hear Oliver losing his brain right now? Might be getting an Amazon delivery. The guys that I would bet every single, like if you were just going to blindly bet people every week, I think Sahith is very interesting. I think Colin Morikawa makes a lot of sense. Cam Young, I think, is going to be like this stat profile is a very, very good winning stat profile. You can be volatile. That's fine. Because when you hit your ceiling, you're going to like win a lot of golf tournaments. Now he has a ton of runner-up finishes, but that's pretty fun. Where are the golf vlogs at? So we've got like 8 golf vlogs on Rick Run Good YouTube channel. You know what I wanted to do this year is I wanted to do a season 2, and I wanted to pick out like 8 different golf courses. I wanted to travel to them, and I wanted to kind of get like, which would be expensive, but I wanted to get somebody to like sponsor it. And I never got around to doing it. And there's a ton of editing that goes into a golf vlog, and to ask Armina to do that all the time, I didn't think was like super fair. So it's still something I want to do more in the future. I'd love to get like Arcos on board, right? I use the stats for myself for the strokes gain stuff. Like I'd love for them to get on board. But golf vlogs do exist, and I still think there is a path to the golf vlogs coming back. Can we get a deep dive on KH Lee? KH Lee's surprisingly good off the tee. And his putter comes and goes. This is okay. This is like a 6 out of 10 for me, right? He is not, he's a loser on approach most weeks. The putter can be +7, can be -4.5. Drives it okay. I'm not super excited about this. 5.5, 6 out of 10. I know the upside is winning on the PGA Tour. He won like 15 starts ago, right? That's not that long ago. If you're winning every 15 starts on the PGA Tour, you're like one of the best players that we have. Even if you're winning once out of every 30 starts, you're like one of the best players that we have. So I like the winning upside, but this is not a particularly exciting stat profile other than what I know about him long term. Rick, on your Future of Golf pod, you mentioned you were a collegiate athlete. Curious, were you a runner and hence Rick Run Good? No. No, I played baseball. I went to college on a baseball scholarship. I do not like running. Running is not great for me. The run good part comes from, it's really like a gambling poker term, like, oh, you run good, you run bad. Things just kind of break my way, and someone dubbed me like, oh, it's Rick Run Good. Like everything works out for him. So that's where the run good comes from. But no, I played baseball on a scholarship. Daniel says, what is your betting card? Okay. Let me pull it up. I believe it's 6 golfers, but one of them is Victor, who I've been very clear that I bet every single week. So I tend not to like count that. That's like part of the family and friends plan. I've tried to get a little bit freakier here. So I went with, so this is something I don't normally do, but I think it's a pretty top heavy board. Sung Jae, I got it 11-1. Morikawa, I got a 15-1. I would normally not bet two guys that short, but what we have seen, 9 of 18 winners have been 20-1 or shorter. This is a very top-heavy field where the strength of field is worse than it was last year. I think there's a lot of win equity up top. Victor, who I always bet, doesn't count. Siwoo, as I mentioned, Straka, and I went one more time to Grillo. So that's 11-1, 15-1, 34-1 on Siwoo, 55-1 on Straka, 70-1 on Grillo. Ooh, Brent. Rick, I'm working on a huge course hookup in Colorado. If I can make it work, I'll holler. Yeah, this is what I need. I need connections. If you have access to golf courses that will let filming happen, or anybody who wants to like, I'm not asking for a ton of money. I'm asking for like to cover like tee times and travel expenses, right? I'm not trying to make any money. If I break even on it, I'd be thrilled. I want to do like an eight video series of vlogs, ideally at good looking golf courses or unique golf courses or something. Not like I don't need to go to Scotland, but like, I mean, I'm just thinking here, like, you know, TPC Summerlin, then there's Wolf Creek, which is in Mesquite. Then I could go to LA and I could play, you know, or Orange County and play like Monarch, which is right on the water, or like Pelican Hill, right? Like I just, you know, things like that. It'd be cool. My miss is not a hook. It is definitely like a push fade, but I've been drawing the ball better as of late. I actually this morning set my ball speed PR 160. Some people might be laughing at that. Martin Borgmeyer's like a 230. 160 is pretty good. It went, I think it carried 273, rolled out to 309. Come on. Okay. Can you please get to the bottom of the cheating scandal? So here's the thing. I've been kind of enthralled by this. Armina is like, she's got the red string up. If you're not familiar with this cheating scandal, that stream that I played on like a month ago is the center of the cheating scandal, which is just great, right? Was I scammed out of this? Should I be worried? Should I be worried about that? Should I be worried that I lost money on a stream that was probably compromised a month ago? Great. I will get to the bottom of it. Oh, this is poker. Why did you say that? Armina said, don't forget to say it was poker. Why did she say that? Did they not know it was poker? She's worried. She's worried that I think I'm implicating. Oh, okay. So this was a poker scandal. I have some thoughts about it. I'm going to need some more time. There's two big questions. I'm like very certain that some type of cheating collusion was going on. Because one of the guys in production, like that's all been debunked. There's still two big questions for me, and they revolve around the 2 seat, which again, I need like 35 minutes on this, and the method, because the method doesn't seem as consistent as I would hope it is. But I'm like, there's so much smoke. This place is, I've died of smoke inhalation, right? I don't need fire, but like there's just so much smoke here. So, yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on the cheating scandal. And it was weird that I was on it a month ago. Guys that played 4 full rounds at Shriners are worried about travel. No. Let's see some old swings of you hitting dingers. There's only one, but we have it on video. It was such a good at-bat, too. I worked the count. I was down 0-2. I think I worked it back full. High fastball, deposited. See it. It is on video. I have it. Saratoga National. Upstate New York, make it a track weekend. Okay. 160, that's massive. Let's go. How did you do in the Circa Millions last weekend? I got 1.5 points. It was my worst week ever. I felt a little screwed by it, to be honest with you. But I guess everybody who goes 1.5 points feels that way. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers blew a 21-point lead and blew the cover. And then did not kick and then if the clock works out in their favor, they just kick the field goal at the end, make it a 10-point game, cover the 9.5, or make it a 9-point game, cover the 8.5. The other thing was that the Browns blew that game, right? Jacoby Brissett walks into the end zone if he just runs it. Then they have a chance to kick a field goal and win it. Neither. I get a 0.5 point out of that. Should have been a full point. And the other one was, no surprise, the Washington Commanders and Carson Wentz can't score from 3 or 4 cracks at the goal line. So those 3 things go against me. That's 2.5 points against me right there. Are there specific guys that look good on the cheat sheet yet that you are yet fading? I mean, I think I talked about it a little bit. The obvious one And you could make a case both sides of this, but like, I'm not going to have Corey Connors this week. No, I'm just not. Now guys that look good that I would fade. I mean, once you start getting to 30% ownership, like Sung Jae's at, it starts to become very fadey. Although those guys, I did a podcast about this a couple weeks ago. Guys that are 30% owned last year outperformed the guys that were 25% or more owned, 20% more or owned. Like the chalkiest guys have been coming through. So no, I don't look at this and just say, oh, this guy looks good, so good that I have to fade him. No, I don't. Planning a trip to Vegas in December. Any advice when visiting Circa or in general? Bring your ID, the ID at the door. It's an adults only place. So many people forget their ID and I'm like, well, now we got to go somewhere else. Mega Bar is pretty cool. Longest indoor bar in the state of Nevada. There's video poker there, lots of televisions. Also, you can go up to the rooftop, go to Legacy Club. That's pretty cool. They've got like $2 million in gold bars up there, which is kind of interesting. And then you can view the entire strip. In general, no, I don't know. Hit me up. All right. I think we're out of questions. Most of the questions that were left were just like Las Vegas or golf related. I'll hang for like 30 more seconds if anything else comes through for like 30 seconds, like fire away right now. Or else we will go eat lunch because we are almost up on this hour anyway. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to go through. Okay, that's a good question. This hat. This is a very unique hat that I'm not sure. I had to track this down on eBay. I'm not sure there's a ton of these. But this is, does this look familiar? Because it's the Tiger Woods logo. Oh, wait, I guess it's actually like this. The TW. So what Nike did is they removed the T from the W, stretched it out, made it an 8-3 to signify Tiger's 83rd victory. Obviously not there yet, right? Because it's only at 82. But the idea was to release these, I guess, when he breaks the record. Now, I think they made this years ago. And obviously he hasn't broken 83. Some of them got out. I don't know. I just, I saw one time and it infatuated me. And I checked eBay for like months and months and months and was able to find it. All right. That'll do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This thing's going to get started tonight. I'll be up. Tweet at me. Armina does all the hard work behind the scenes and we're going to go eat lunch right now. Goodbye.